What the hell is going on, everybody, and welcome to Between the Hash Marks. I'm James Koklak, your host, along with my co-host Sean McCabe. What the hell is going on?
You know, man, never been better. A day in my life, living the dream.
We had something today happen in baseball that I'm going to get to during my rant, but I've never seen this in my life.
No, I've never seen it either. I actually looked up when this last happened. It actually did happen a couple years ago. But we will get to that.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, in reality, and this is going to sound really mean and blatant, but how stupid can you be?
Yeah,
seriously, how stupid can you be?
It's like a thing you expect in T-ball.
Agreed. And we've had so much else going on in the sports world. I mean, 3 out of 4 hockey series are wrapped up. We'll touch on that as well. We've got one more Game 7 coming up with the two best teams in the league. We're going to touch on that too. We've got some basketball questions for you.
3 out of 4 series done with basketball.
3 out of 4 series are done with basketball, although the West, we kind of knew who was going to be there. But all of that is going to be on this great edition of Between the Hash Marks. And coming up right now is my opening rant.
Your number one source for sports.
You know who I can't stand? Kevin Durant.
He looks like Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton had a kid.
Now, who can argue with that?
I hate Boston.
I'm the biggest Miami Heat hater you'll ever meet.
I just don't understand where you're getting your bogus information from.
What the hell are you even talking about?
Well, I'm sorry you're too freaking sensitive to handle the truth.
You think I'm crazy? I'm just getting warmed up.
You're now Between the Hash Marks with James Koklak and Sean McCabe.
You know when you buy a car like a BMW or a Mercedes, it'll be luxurious or a sporty car depending on which model you get, but it will have a lot of amenities and you will definitely be riding in style. But eventually with the wear and tear, it costs a fortune to keep up with. Well, a very similar situation happened in baseball with an organization in the heart of the biggest market in the nation. In 2015, the New York Mets had a couple of top prospects scratching the surface of the major leagues, a la Michael Conforto, Ahmad Rosario, who was the number 1 prospect in baseball, and Dominic Smith, with also a plethora of young arms on the verge of becoming 4 aces that would be in the starting rotation for a team known as the little brother in New York to the 27-time world champion New York Yankees. Did I mention, to end the 2015 season, the Mets went on a World Series run to only come up short? The future looked incredibly bright, but everything went completely downhill from then on. The Mets had it all going for them, and boom, it seems like it's all been forgotten and in the past. They went from winning 90 games in 2015, they dropped to 70 wins last year, and after a hot 11-1 start to this season, the Mets sit now in 3rd in the NL East with an 18-17 record. For those who don't like math, that's a 7-16 record in their last 23 games, including a loss to the last place Reds just last night and this afternoon, losing 2 out of 3. Not to mention, they batted out of order today because they gave the ump the wrong card with the wrong batting order on it. The batter got a double, and it was
Asdrubal Cabrera.
Thank you. But he was called out due to the batting out of order. I mean, this is just such simple stuff. How stupid can you be? Moving on. That is just the tip of the iceberg. Matt Harvey, the ace once known as the Dark Knight, was a prominent figure on this Mets team. He was designated for assignment after refusing a minor league assignment and then was traded to the last place Reds for pennies on the dollar. That all started from when Harvey went against doctor's orders in 2015 and pitched anyway to help bring the Mets a World Series championship that they ultimately didn't win. Some will say, well, the Mets didn't force Harvey to pitch, but ultimately Harvey doesn't call the shots. So that is a major mess up on the Mets' behalf. Steven Matz, he has not been the pitcher lots of people expected him to pan out to be. Noah Thor Syndergaard has been nothing short of great, but he's been injured a lot, and that's a huge cause for concern. He missed basically the entire 2017 season. The only healthy pitcher has been DeGrom, and with the luck of the Mets, he gets injured during an at-bat this year and is now on the 10-day disabled list. David Wright, their pride and soul of the organization, has been out for almost 2 years now, and it doesn't appear he will ever step foot on a baseball field again. Cespedes hasn't been the player they envisioned him to be consistently, and at points, it seems like he cared more about golf than he did about his real day job. They also let Daniel Murphy walk for nothing after a spectacular postseason. and he has done nothing but shine in Washington and stick it to the Mets, his prior team. I have a source who has watched every Mets game this season, has watched close to 400 Mets games over the last 4 years, and he has noticed that the Mets are no longer doing the salt and pepper shaker after getting on base this year, and it seems like there could be locker room issues. And it seems like the Mets aren't having fun playing baseball anymore. On top of all this, the Mets are known to be a stingy organization and don't like to shell out big money and big contracts, and when they do, it's to the wrong people. Everything the Mets have done has brought them down and in the wrong direction, and is constantly and consistently making the wrong moves for a franchise that is starved of winning. So going back to my beginning metaphor, the Mets were like a high-end car loaded with top prospect, future aces, and the money to spend to secure their bid to win a World Series within their time frame. And they have spent the money on the wrong players, aren't taking great care of their players, and are now breaking down, and it's ugly to watch. From the outside looking in, it seems like a new front office, including new owners, could and would do wonders for a franchise that hasn't won a World Series in over 30 years and possibly need to do a complete and total rebuild to get this franchise back on track for the fans that have suffered enough.
First off, what do you have against golf?
I don't have anything against golf, but when you're a professional baseball player or football, hockey, or basketball, your mind better be on the sport you're playing and focus on golf in the offseason.
It's actually funny because I did see a story about Cespedes playing golf all the freaking time last year, and he said he was going to quit golf, and then I think it was about 2 weeks ago, he said that he was going to go back to playing golf because it gave him better like hand-eye coordination, I guess, which I think is hilarious. But I also, well, all right, what is it with you and Derek Jeter calling for full rebuilds of teams like it's nothing? Like, look, this team isn't that bad. How are you not impressed with a team that is tied for 18th in runs scored, 23rd in batting average, 19th in on-base percentage, 26th in slugging percentage, 19th in ERA, 19th in batting average, and tied for 19th in quality starts? How does this not impress you? They are clearly the 19th best team in the MLB.
Well, it makes total sense. And a rebuild can... maybe I've screwed my words, but I haven't, because I think that they do need a rebuild. But I like some of the pieces, like Ahmad Rosario needs to stay. But can you trade Conforto and get something for him at this point? And maybe he needs a fresh scenery. You know, Dominic Smith is not even in the majors right now, but he should be. And that's a detriment to the Mets organization and their front office for not calling him up when they need him. I think that the whole rebuild starts with the owners, the front office, the general manager, and I can't say much about the manager, Mickey Callaway, because he just got there. You got to give him some time. But what you have going is not working. You haven't won a World Series since 1986. You have been largely irrelevant for more than 25 of those 30 years. Something's got to change here.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. They went and they spent their money this year thinking that they would have it. And look, if their pitching stays healthy, if DeGrom and Syndergaard stay healthy, they're looking pretty good. And then they got Wheeler, he's all right, and Matt's kind of been off like significantly.
Yeah, pretty bad.
But if they had Thor and DeGrom stay healthy, this team's got a real shot for a wild card position. But that doesn't seem like it can be a thing at all. But they went and they spent money on Jay Bruce and Todd Frazier, and those are two players that they are good if you put them in the right lineup. You put Jay Bruce in the Cleveland Indians lineup, hell yeah, great acquisition. You put Todd Frazier in the Yankees lineup, hell yeah, great acquisition. We saw Todd Frazier go to the White Sox. Terrible on the Reds.
What's crazy is both of those players you just named were on those teams last year. Jay Bruce with the Indians and Frazier with the Yankees, and they both succeeded.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and if you put these players, I mean, you take Jay Bruce. Jay Bruce was on the Reds. Yeah, he hit his home runs, but he hits 240. That's what you're getting. You're not getting a guy who's going to hit 40 home runs and then also hit 280. So I mean, they're going there and spend their money on pieces that are good B minus players, and they're giving them A plus money. That's their biggest problem. And it seems like the starting pitching they just can't get right, even though it was dominant
It's crazy to think about. You had Harvey, you had Matt, who was supposed to be this great thing. You had Thor, and who's Syndergaard, obviously, and then you had DeGrom, and now you're left with two of them because I don't even count Matt's in that picture anymore because he's been so bad consistently. Yeah, this is not just a this year thing.
Yeah, no, I really agree with you. I mean, they got off to this hot start, and then what happened was, I mean, their starting pitching fell apart, and injuries start happening, and their best hitter right now is this Drupal Cabrera, even though I can't
even pronounce his name. Abdrubal.
Yeah, Asdrubal
Cabrera. There we go. We go.
But yeah, no, but he's their best hitter right now, and he's like he's a journeyman veteran who's he's good, not great, but like they're relying on Asdrubal Cabrera to give him the stats, and he can't even figure out where he's supposed to be batting in the lineup.
Now, I love Cespedes as a player, and I do think he's worth big money. But is he worth big money with the New York Mets? It just doesn't seem like the fit is there.
Well, I don't think he's even worth big money. I mean, if you go ahead and look at his numbers, I mean, he's a career 250 hitter, and yeah, he hits home runs. But last year, where were they? I mean, if this dude's hitting 30 homers, cool. But if he's hitting 20, it's not cool. He's got a great arm in left field or in right field, wherever you put him in the outfield. He's got a great arm. He's good at defense, but I mean, you're giving this guy money like he's Mookie Betts or Giancarlo Stanton. It's not who he is.
No, and he doesn't even have his priorities straight. It's not just one report or two reports. It's multiple reports of him focusing on golf.
Hey, he just wants to join the pro am.
And I get it. Like, golf's a fun sport, and I enjoy golf, and I like watching golf, especially the majors. But you're a professional baseball player, and you're not on the Milwaukee Brewers. You're on the New York Mets.
Even if you're on the Milwaukee Brewers, you still should be.
Agreed, but the point is you may even be on the little brother New York Mets, but you're still playing baseball in New York, the biggest city, the biggest market in this country, and you are focused on golf? Are you kidding me?
So you think they need a full rebuild? What do they do? Who do they got to get rid of?
They've got to basically wipe their slate clean. If you want to keep Conforto,
or should I say who do they keep?
Conforto you could keep, but if you can get great value for him right now, you do it. Yeah, you definitely keep Ahmad Rosario without question, and you keep Dominic Smith without question. You keep if you want, you could trade DeGrom because he's a little bit older than Thor. You keep Thor without question. Those three players, Thor, Dominic Smith and Ahmad Rosario are the only three players that I see as must keeps.
Everybody else is expendable. What about like the people in the bullpen, like Addison Reed and Familia?
Expendable to me. They're not going to help you win right now because you don't have the team to win right now. So get what you can for them. And it's kind of like another team just did this. The New York Yankees did it. They traded away their two best relievers.
Yeah.
And then they get one back, and they might be getting Andrew Miller back this offseason. There's nothing to say these players can't come back, but get what you can for them. Start this rebuild. Look how fast the Yankees rebuilt. Any team can do that if you do it right. And the Mets have the pieces to do it, and they should, because this season's a wash. You just lost 2 out of 3 to the Reds. You can't even bat in the right order. This season is done.
Yeah, no, they could send somebody like Jay Bruce out to like Los Angeles or something like that, and they could send Todd Frazier. I'm sure there's teams that need a third baseman, but they could probably send him to Pittsburgh or something like that, and like see a team that.
And he's got experience.
Yeah, a team that's looking to do a run, and I think they should be making moves. I don't say blow it all up, but they should definitely be making some moves. Keep the guys that you said. Yeah, I agree with that. Anything else?
Ahmad Rosario was the #1 prospect in baseball coming into this season. He's better. He was ranked higher than Gleyber Torres. He is a must keep. He's not doing so well right now, but I think it's also a part of where he is and the team not doing well. And when the team's not doing well, the clubhouse is not a fun place to be, I bet. And I think the whole juju of what's going on around the New York Mets is contributing to why he's being so bad. I think if he was playing for the Red Sox or the Yankees right now, or even the Angels, he'd be succeeding very well.
Last thing, I think they should keep DeGrom because he's been the one reliable guy they've had. He did get hurt. He is coming back. It's not like a season-ending thing. It's only going to be about a month, and it was batting. It wasn't even pitching related. So, I mean, that's a guy that they should actually keep. They should keep Thor as well because that pitching is really the core of their organization.
Well, the only reason that I said that DeGrom could be expendable is the fact that he's older than Thor.
Yeah, I understand
He's 29 years old right now,
that.
and I think that by the time the Mets are competing, he won't be in his prime, and you should get what you can for an ace like that.
Well, we see how quick it is, the turnaround. I mean, the year they went to the World Series, nobody was expecting him to get there, even make the playoffs that year. So I think keeping him would be the wiser decision. But coming up next, we got more baseball and the most mind-boggling stat you will ever hear. You're listening to BTH.
Do you have the overwhelming urge to advertise something where it'll only reach 100 people? Well, don't we have the perfect thing for you? Right here, we will sell you this 30-second spot for whatever commercial you want, as long as you let us put this music with it. This music will be by Audionautics and Jason Shaw. Isn't this music fantastic? We sure think so, and that's why we're going to make you listen to it for a few more seconds. Now, back to the greatest sports podcast ever to be conceived.
And welcome back to Between the Hash Marks. James, phenomenal job on roasting the New York Mets. I mean, it's kind of an easy thing to do. It's like being a bully picking on a little kid. I mean, you shove them down a little bit. Mets are very easy to pick on, but I mean, hey, we dish it out everywhere.
I do want to mention, because I have got a lot of friends who are Met fans. I've got a lot of people I know who are Met fans. I'm not a Met hater. I'm not biased. But when you're on the radio, well, of course, but when you're on the radio and you're doing a podcast and you've got your own show and things like that, you got to tell the truth. And the truth is the Mets stink right now. And that's it. And I like, if the Mets were still 11 and had 22-2, I would be up here praising them, even though they're not my favorite team. I have to go with what's going on and what's truthful. And the truth is the Mets stink.
And the downfall is real. I mean, very bad. But more baseball here. Second topic. There could be more strikeouts than hits in a season, in a whole MLB season, for the first time in Major League history. Strikeouts, they're frowned upon, but they have become part of the game's natural progression, especially in 2018. And it's almost encouraged now at a younger level of baseball. You start from Little League up, to hit more home runs, swing the bat more. You'll strike out more, but you're going to hit more home runs. But it has severely affected the total number of actual hits. Now, month of April, this is from the Elias Sports Bureau. Batters combined all across the MLB, 6,656 strikeouts compared to 6,360 hits for the month of April. That's the entire month. That's almost 200 more strikeouts, 300 more strikeouts for the entire month. That's absolutely nuts. Last year, batters struck out at a 21.6% of their plate appearances. That's insane. That was the most in Major League history, Major League record. This season, right now, we are at a 22.6% strikeout percentage over plate appearances, which, if sustained, will be the 11th straight year in which the strikeout rate has increased. Batting averages, meanwhile, have dropped from 269 in 2006, the first year where Major League instituted its league-wide drug policy. And now, if we're going back to last week or the end of the month of April, across Major League, it's batting average is 245. It was 269 in 2006. It's 245.
So over 12 years, it's dropped 20 points on the average.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's a ton.
And if this sustains, this would be the lowest batting average over the course of an entire season since 1972. James, does the MLB have a strikeout problem? And if it does, how do they fix it?
Well, two simple answers for you. Do they have a strikeout problem? Yes, because clearly the numbers are stating it.
Yep.
Number two, in every sport known to man, no matter what it is, the example in our prep I used was Tom Brady came into the NFL in 2001. He is now 40 years old in 2018.
Yep.
He's not playing the same game that he did in 2001 that he is in 2018. The game has changed. He has changed. They have both evolved. For him to stay relevant, he's had to evolve. He's had to change the way he plays. Well, same goes for baseball. So if there's a strikeout problem, that is most of it's due to a higher velocity. Players are stronger now. Pitchers are stronger. And even some of the guys like Joe Kelly on Boston, who's scrawny, is throwing triple digits.
Yeah.
You said he has the second highest fastball rate per
average
fastball.
average fastball.
And the only one higher is Aroldis Chapman.
Yep.
And Aroldis Chapman is ginormous.
Yep.
He's huge. People don't realize that he's like 6'5", 240, where Joe Kelly's not that big. Not even close. The thing they need to do is the batters need to learn when to swing, when they need to get better in a sense. They need to take more batting practice. They have to do what they have to do to catch up to these pitches, because it's not on the pitchers to throw slower. It's about the best batters will catch on to what's going on and how they need to change their swings. Perfect example, Shohei Ohtani. He was absolutely garbage in spring training. So bad where they considered putting him in single A baseball. He drops the leg kick from his swing, and what happened?
Yeah.
Tell the fans.
A lot better. I mean, he's hitting
all
300.
you have to do is change your swing. Do something. But it is on the batters at this point, I think, to get better, to evolve, change, do what you have to do to make sure that you're making contact with the baseballs. Because you shouldn't you shouldn't do anything to affect how the pitcher pitches. He's doing his job. Now it's time for you to do yours.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you for the most part. I think there is. The question is, do they have a strikeout problem? I would say yes. A thing that they can do, though, is they can lower the mound. They have done it before. They could do it again slightly, and I think it would fix a lot of the problems. But I'm a huge baseball fan. I watch over 200 games a year, just every single team. You could throw the Padres versus the Reds at me, and I'll watch that. I'll watch all 9 innings of that game. I know I'm freaking weird, but
yeah, that's definitely a little weird.
Yeah, but no, but I love watching baseball. I love watching a pitcher throw his nastiest stuff at hitters. I love watching a guy just the biggest whiff, because the pitcher just threw the dirtiest stuff. I love at-bats that go 8, 9, 10 pitches, or Brandon Belt with his 21 pitch at-bat. I also love watching home runs. But this strategy of swinging more to hit more home runs is utterly stupid. And listen, it may pay off in the regular season, but in the playoffs, you don't win that way. You win in the playoffs by getting on base runners, and small ball and pitching, not home runs, because you're not playing the Reds or the White Sox or the Padres in the playoffs. You're playing the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Nationals and the Cubs and the Astros. You're playing the cream of the crop, where they don't give home runs up like the bottom half of the league does. So it's only a matter of time till something is actually changed, either by baseball. I mean, there's some ridiculous theories out there to get rid of relief pitchers or change the game down to 7 innings instead of 9.
I think changing it to 7 would automatically get rid of relief pitchers in a sense.
Yeah, it would.
Both are stupid, though.
It would. But, I mean, you can win games with small ball. And, look, they put a defensive shift on you. I mean, that's part of the reason why hits are down. They put a defensive shift on. You hit it where the opening is. Learn to hit to the opposite field.
Utilize the plate.
Yeah, exactly. Learn how to become a real hitter. I mean, and that's something that doesn't really exist anymore. There's very few guys.
Yep.
I mean, I would say
Literally.
Jose Ramirez for Cleveland is one of those guys.
Jose Altuve is another.
one. Those are guys that don't strike out a lot, and they hit. They have some power. They hit 25, 30 home runs in between there, but they get on base. They hit a lot of doubles. But the hitters actually have to learn this. And look, the Kansas City Royals, they literally won a World Series a few years ago by doing this. I mean, they didn't have an ace guy. They had pitchers that pitched 5 innings. They had an extremely great bullpen. And then they had a bunch of guys that hit 270, 280. Nobody was hitting 35 home runs. But, they had guys that were hitting 270, 280 that get on base and they hit some doubles and they hit some singles. And then, look, it's going to take one GM is going to figure this out and realize this and is going to exploit it, because I think baseball kind of goes through these steps where home runs are king. Oh, no, stolen bases are king. Or, we need to have the best starting pitching. Oh, no, we need to have the best bullpen. it's just a cycle.
Goes through phases.
It's just a cycle, and I think right now we're in this era where you need to hit the home runs because the balls are a little bit more lively than they used to be, and I mean the
You need
pitchers
the
are
best
more.
bullpen.
Yeah, exactly. So
question though for you, and we didn't even talk about this during prep, but it just came to my mind. Two things. One, what if the umpires are I know a lot of umpires, some of them like to give you the outside, some of them like to give you the inside. It's not always directly on the plate. They will give you the corners even if it's not touching. Does that have to do with this? And would getting rid of the umpires and having a computer just like ESPN and Fox and all
they have the thing on the screen.
Yes,
yeah.
and those are accurate. Would that be something that helps to eliminate strikeouts? Because there are strikeouts where guys are caught looking and it's not even a strike.
And they were correct. And the umpire called them out.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I think it would be great not get rid of the umpires, but get rid of them in the sense that they don't call balls and strikes. They're still a home plate umpire.
Yeah.
But you could also, and I think this is one of the biggest mistakes baseball has ever made, they used to have the umpire right behind the pitcher. That's how you and I see every single pitch when we're watching on TV. And we can tell, even without the box, before they started putting that in a couple years ago, we could tell if that's a ball or a strike. And they changed the angle. Now he's behind the catcher. He's got this mask on. He's got the hitter in front of him swinging as hard as he can. He's got all these distractions. How do you expect him to make the right call every single time? But if you got a computer to do it, or you move the umpire to behind the pitcher like how it used to be, you can get that correct call way more often. I mean, if you look at like with baseball and the actual calls that they had, any base, there was one year where they looked at it and how for a single month, how correct were these umpires? And they were only correct 66% of the time with plays at any base, and that's 33% of the time that they were wrong. And
That's a ton.
And this is one of the reasons why they had this instant replay where you could challenge a play in baseball, because the umpires, they're human. They don't get everything right. They should be getting more than 66% right. But it seems like in baseball, the umpire's strike zone is all over the freaking place, and it favors certain batters. It hinders other batters, favors pitchers. It's ridiculous.
And not even that, not so much the strikes, but baseball is the slowest moving sport, too.
Yeah.
So it's the easiest to catch things. Like if the guy's touching first base or second base, with his hand before a ball gets there. Those are things that you can see with the naked eye right away.
Yep.
In basketball or football or hockey, it's a faster moving sport. Sometimes it's easier to miss a call like that. It's unexplainable in baseball. It's unexcusable, and it shouldn't happen. And I agree that we need to not get rid of the home plate umpire, but eliminate him calling balls and strikes. Let him be the balk guy, or just if something goes wrong at home plate, let him take care of those things. Let him be the head of the crew, but just eliminate the balls and strikes from the umpire.
I completely agree.
I think it'll help fix the problem, and I think that it'll go a long way. I just don't know if baseball's hard-headed when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Well, I think with their new
commissioner,
commissioner, with Rob Manfred, I think he's a lot more willing to
than Bud Selig.
Yeah, because Bud Selig's like, we need to keep it the old way. We have all of our stats
Bud
and all.
Selig.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it. Well, hopefully, Rob Manfred, if you're listening to this, we both agree you should get rid of the umpires calling balls and strikes. Just have him back there, kind of as a safety net in a sense, and also to do his other everything that he does.
Exactly.
But coming up next, we have the final quarter. You're listening to PTH.
Do you have the overwhelming urge to advertise something where it'll only reach 100 people? Well, don't we have the perfect thing for you? Right here, we will sell you this 30-second spot for whatever commercial you want, as long as you let us put this music with it. This music will be by Audionautics and Jason Shaw. Isn't this music fantastic? We sure think so, and that's why we're going to make you listen to it for a few more seconds. Now, back to the greatest sports podcast ever to be conceived.
Gets loose. Evgeny coming down the middle. A shot. And it comes in over. He scores. He scores. Evgeny Kuznetsov wins it for Washington. It's off to the third round. The Demons have been exercised. Good morning. Good afternoon. And good night, Pittsburgh. We're going to Tampa Bay. The Capitals have done it. They slayed the Penguins.
What a series that was. The Capitals have finally done it.
Finally.
They've won their own Stanley Cup. Now they've got to go for the real Stanley Cup.
Right.
We'll touch on this in a little bit. We definitely are going to touch on the Capitals-Penn series for a quick second. But starting off with our final quarter, it's the biggest fan favorite segment that we have.
That's right.
It's the quickest. We go through as many topics as we can, and I'm going to have Sean start the clock. Tell me when you are ready.
In 3, 2, 1, begin.
With the Rockets and the Warriors set to match up in the Western Conference Final, do the Warriors make a fourth straight finals appearance, or do the Rockets bounce them out and look to bring the city of Houston another ring after the Astros brought home the World Series?
Yeah, no. So the Rockets-Warriors matchup, it's the one we all wanted. 2 years in a row, we got the matchup we wanted. Last year, Kawhi ended up going down, so it wouldn't end up not being the series that we wanted to see. But as long as Chris Paul or James Harden doesn't get hurt, as long as Zaza Pachulia doesn't do some dirty move, then we're going to see a really good series here. But are the Rockets going to beat the Warriors? No, they're not going to beat the Warriors, because if you look at it, like, think about this. Last year, this Warriors team, it is, and I don't think there's anything close. The Warriors, the 2017 Warriors, were the best NBA team that we have seen in the history of the NBA, besides, and I know it's not the NBA, but besides the 92 Dream Team. So we have this team that is essentially the same as last year. A couple pieces aren't there of bench players, and a couple other guys, Livingston, Iguodala, David West, is a little bit older, not as good. So this team is slightly worse from the best team ever. Yeah, no, this team is going to win. I do think the Rockets can give them a real issue, because Chris Paul, he is a game changer for the Rockets. Last year, I mean, if you just look over the course of the season, Chris Paul added 10 more wins to this Rockets lineup that was very good last year. And I mean, he helped them get to the Western Conference Finals, which they haven't been in years. So yeah, no, I think the Rockets are going to put up a fight, but I like the Warriors. I'll take it in 6 games.
All right, so apparently I'm an idiot, and I forgot to shut off the YouTube video, and it started playing a new YouTube video after our clip that we just recorded into this show. So you might hear some girl's voice underneath us for the first 30 seconds, but we're allowed to make a mistake, right? We're only human. Anyway, back to the show. I like the Warriors too. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 5. It'll probably be 6, possibly 7. But I don't see the Rockets pulling this one out either. I think that the Warriors are too good. They're too dominant, and they've got this, and they're going to win their 2nd straight title and 3 in their last 4 years. So it's pretty exciting to see it. But,
yeah.
It's finally time to watch basketball, though, because this should be a series.
No, but this is actually a series that it's gonna be extremely exciting, and I think Game 1 is so important for Houston. They absolutely need to win this game. They have home court advantage. They're the number 1 seed. They need to win Game 1. It's kind of like that same effect, and we're going to talk about it soon, with the Raptors and Cavs. The Raptors needed to win Game 1 to really have a shot. If the Rockets don't win Game 1, I'm afraid. I really think this could happen. I think they could get swept if they don't win Game 1. I could see them getting swept.
I believe it. Trust me. I know how good Golden State is.
And they just pour it on. They can be down. They can be down by 15 with 5 minutes left, and they pour it on. And all of a sudden, they're winning. They won by 10. So it's ridiculous.
It's unfair, but I'm actually finally looking forward to seeing a basketball series, because even though I think the Warriors are going to win, this is the one series that the Rockets actually do have a chance.
Yeah,
the Warriors.
I agree. All right, next. The Nashville Predators claimed home ice advantage back after defeating the Winnipeg Jets in Game 6 in Winnipeg. I can't believe they freaking had it and they blew it. These were the top 2 teams in the entire NHL at season's end, and will face off in a Game 7 in Nashville on Thursday, May 10th. Who will win and why, James?
I think the Predators got this. I think the Jets are a great team. Do not get me wrong. They are young. They are talented. They are fast. They check like no other. This is a team to be reckoned with. but you are facing the Nashville Predators, who were in the Stanley Cup Final last year. They had the best record in the NHL this year for a reason. They are stacked from bottom to top. There's no weakness on this team, and guess what? You just had a chance to close them out on your home ice, and they scraped you 4-0. This series is over. The Nashville Predators are going to come out. Have you ever seen a Nashville game in Game 7 in the playoffs?
Yeah, no, it's
that
insane.
place gets rowdy. Now, I know Winnipeg does too, but I think Nashville has the experience from last year, and I think Winnipeg was lacking that experience, which led to them to lose 4-0 when they had the series in hand. The Nashville Predators are going to win this one. It'll be close, but this series is over. Nashville is out.
Yeah, no, I want to disagree with you here. I mean, I took Winnipeg to go to the Stanley Cup Finals, and I still think it's going to happen. I mean, this team is amazing, and this team, they won twice in Nashville. 2 out of the 3. There's been 3 games in Nashville. This is gonna be the 4th. They've won 2 out of 3 games in Nashville. Why can't they do 3 out of 4? That's all I'm saying. I think people are expecting Nashville to win, and I think when teams are expected to win like that, there's a little extra pressure on them. Winnipeg, I think they're playing with house money. I mean, they should have won Game 6, but now everybody's expecting them to lose Game 7. They're playing with house money now. I think they're gonna win this game in a close one.
I've got faith in the Jets. I like them as a team. I just think that the experience factor is going to play huge. There's nothing like playing Game 7. So Game 6 is totally different than a Game 7. I mean, Game 6, all right, if we lose, we have another game to do this. That's the mentality the Jets went into, and it was very clear because they did not show up to play.
Yeah.
Now your backs are officially against the wall. This is something the Predators have dealt with, and the Jets have not. And I think that kind of experience does go a long way, which is why I'm rolling with the Preds for Game 7.
All right.
Question number 3. Why are the Raptors so bad when it comes to playing LeBronto and the Cavs? This series shouldn't have been a sweep, yet it wasn't close at all.
I mean, the answer to your question is LeBron's their daddy.
All right, next question.
No, we can go into a little bit more. No, but here's the thing. The Raptors, they were a good team this year. They were actually the favorites to win this series. But that game 1, they were up. They're in the second quarter. They're up by almost 20 points. I think they actually got the 20-point lead. And then at halftime, they're only up by 5. And then the third quarter, they jump out a double-digit lead again, up by 15. Fourth quarter, up by 13. And then they just let it slip away. And they couldn't make a single shot. I think they went 0 for 11 to end the game. And I think they went 0 for 16 if you include how much they went in overtime without making a basket. And this is a crazy stat. I heard this on the radio today, that DeMar DeRozan attempted a couple threes. I think a couple in Game 1 and a couple in Game 2. Didn't attempt any more for the rest of the series. And in fact, he hasn't made a three-pointer against the Cavs in, it's something ridiculous. I forget the exact number. It's been like 10 games. He hasn't hit a three-pointer against the Cavs. So it's like...
You think it's partly a mind game?
Yes, it absolutely is. But you know what? It's not just a mind game. This is who Toronto is. Toronto is built to succeed in the regular season. They have a good backcourt, and they need some help down low, but they're kind of well-rounded just throughout the entire starting 5. Decent bench, but they have no star player. They have nobody that has been there before. They just don't have any of that. So that's where they're lacking. And I mean, LeBron just dominates them. I mean, they should have gone with the strategy that Indiana went with, where okay, let LeBron have his, but don't let J.R. Smith have 15 points. Don't let Kyle Korver have 18 points. Don't let Kevin Love have 22. If you let those guys have that kind of game,
you're not going to stop.
I mean,
if gonna get hit.
If the Warriors let the Cavs have that kind of game, the Warriors aren't even going to beat the Cavs. So I mean, you're the Raptors. You're not going to have that success at all. Next question: we will see the Washington Capitals in the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 20 years. They will be taking on the East's top team in the Tampa Bay Lightning. Will Alexander Ovechkin reach his first ever Stanley Cup final? Or will the Bolts strike hard and fast and take out the Capitals, ending Ovechkin's journey with his closest attempt ever to a Stanley Cup win?
I think that the Capitals got it this year. They may not win the Stanley Cup, but I do think that they're going to reach the Stanley Cup final. I think this is Obi's. It's his best chance so far, and he's one hell of a player. He is so deserving. Anybody who watched my video on the Facebook page, on YouTube, I said this in the video, he is such a deserving player of a Stanley Cup ring. He has done everything he could. We've mentioned on the cast before, until this playoffs, he had 97 playoff games with 90 playoff points. That's basically a point a game where the toughest tests are there. You're playing in the playoffs against other playoff teams. You're not playing against bottom feeders, as we were just talking about in baseball.
Yep.
He has shown up, and his team just hasn't. And I firmly believe that the Bolts will deserve to win this series, but the Capitals are going to come out on top because fate just kind of works that way sometimes. Fate has a weird way of working, and I do believe that the Capitals will end up winning the series even if they don't deserve to win. So, but they played well against the Pens, and they looked like the better team throughout the series, and I've got a lot of faith in the Capitals, which is not something that I could say in prior years.
See, that's funny because I didn't think they looked good against Pittsburgh at all, even the games that they won, and I don't think they looked good against Columbus. I mean, they looked good towards the end of the series, but there were games that games they should have lost against Columbus that they ended
Games
up winning.
1 and 2, I thought were the
Well, I thought some of the other games that were close, I thought they should have ended up losing anyway. But I mean, look at the Lightning. They beat the Devils in 5. They beat the Bruins in 5. They're going to beat the Capitals in 5.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but I also wouldn't be surprised to see the Capitals move on. As I said, fate does have a weird way of working. And the Capitals are a good team. They're not a pushover team here. We're talking about a team that's won the President's Trophy a handful of times in the last 10 years. They still got a lot of the same core together. I'm rolling with the Capitals.
All right, moving on.
Question number 5. Do you fault Brett Brown at all for the 0-3 start to the series against the Celtics? And do the Sixers still have a shot to win this series as well as the East?
So do I fault Brett Brown? No, I don't fault him for not being the best coach in the NBA. That's what he's going up against in Brad Stevens. The thing is, this is a really young team, and everybody was predicting this team to go to the finals when nobody's battle tested except maybe you can say JJ Redick, who's played in like a handful of playoff games. But this is a team that they won their first round, which is amazing. They're pretty much all rookies. It's all their first time, not rookies, but it's all their first time in the playoffs. I mean, 2 years ago, this team had like 10 wins. So, I mean, they've made huge monumental jumps. I mean, 2 years ago, 10 wins. This year, they had 52, and they won a playoff series. Yeah, they shouldn't have gone down 0-3, and that's something that you can blame Brett Brown for not having great calls at the end of games, but you have to blame the execution because you didn't really see these plays develop. I mean, in game 3, Philly turned over the ball with like 5 seconds left, and Boston comes down and they score it and they dunk it. I mean, it took Bellinelli saving them to tie it up in overtime, and the same thing happened in overtime. So no, I don't fault Brett Brown, but he's never going to match up against Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens has much less talent on his team, and he's destroying Brett Brown and the Sixers, and part of that is because the way he's attacking Ben Simmons. He's making Ben Simmons shoot the ball instead of pass the ball, which is what Ben Simmons loves to do. So, do I fault him? No. Do the Sixers still have a shot to win the East? Well, they're playing with house money right now, and they need to have that mindset one game at a time. They can't be thinking, oh, we need to win 3 more games. That's not how it's going to work. They're not going to be successful doing that. And they might, by the time this comes out, they might already be gone. So, but no, I'm not going to fault them. And no, I don't think they have a shot to win the East at all. Do I give them a shot to win the series? I'll give them 5% chance. It's never been done in NBA history before. But this is a team that has a lot of talent, and I think they're way more talented than Boston this year.
Without Kyrie.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course.
Coordinator.
Yes. All right, moving on. Next question. The Vegas Golden Knights have moved on to the Western Conference Final in their first ever season after defeating the Sharks in 6 games in the second round of the playoffs. Does Vegas have a real shot at winning the Cup, or will one of the remaining teams take out Vegas in the ending their true Cinderella season?
Yeah, they get taken out. There's no shot that Vegas wins the Cup. I know I've called it. I said the Sharks are going to win in 7, the Kings are going to win in 4. But now you are going to go up against either the second best team in the league or the first best team in the league. You're not going up against somebody who's somewhat middle of the pack. The Kings were definitely not the top tier team this year. The Sharks, they were missing their best player in Joe Thornton.
Yep.
But that you can't use that as an excuse. But what an excuse is not is that they're going to face one of the top 2 teams in the league next. I think it's going to be a tougher test.
I mean, you eventually got to play somebody good.
And not only that, but they're not going to have home ice advantage this series, and that's a big key to why they've been successful.
They wouldn't have it over Winnipeg.
No, Winnipeg was
even though Winnipeg is technically a 2 seed.
Yeah, Nashville was the number 1 seed in the league, but Winnipeg was the number 2 seed.
They're considered the number 2 overall seed, even though they were the number 2 seed in their bracket, and Vegas is number 1 seed.
Yes.
Wow. That, even another reason why NHL is so freaking screwed.
Correct. But yes, their season ends in this next round. But I don't want to stop it there because there's not really much to talk about. I think that is it. But you have to give them props, very much props. So, last question. It's the last question of the day. Matt Ryan is now the highest paid player in the NFL in the history of the sport, being the first $30 million a year player. Is he worth the money? Quickly.
No, he's not worth the money. I mean, he had one great season and they didn't even win the Super Bowl. If he's worth this much, then Aaron Rodgers, you got to pay him 10 years. We'll say, Matt Ryan's getting $30 million a year. Aaron Rodgers deserves $60 million a year.
And we'll sign Tom Brady to a 1-year contract, $110 million a year.
There you go.
Yeah, Matt Ryan's not worth this kind of money. Plain and simple. I have nothing else to add to that.
Me either.
Matt Ryan is not even a top 10 quarterback. Come at me, Atlanta Falcon fans, because he's not.
All right, final thing here, wrapping it up. Did you see this? It's a crazy thing from the week. Rob Gronkowski. Have you seen what he's been doing this summer? He's been absolutely living the freaking dream. Did you see this video that came out with him?
I did. Of the minigun?
Yes. So for those of you who have not seen, Rob Gronkowski is apparently, I guess he's going to be in this movie coming out, and he's testing out this new minigun, and the video is like 17 seconds long. We're going to post it on the page so you can go ahead and watch it. But he is just touting off rounds of ammunition at a ridiculous rate. They're flying out of the chamber, hitting his legs. I don't know how he's not burning himself.
I don't know either.
But he's just going and just going and going. And he looks like, this is what I picture Rob Gronkowski doing when he's just hanging out.
He looks like the Terminator.
He does.
Literally, he looks like,
he does.
I am the Terminator.
Nah, but he's had a hell of a spring. It's not even summer yet. I mean, he's riding on Shaq's shoulders at dance-offs. He's crashing John Breach's bachelor party. He's dirt biking. He's got his own Gronk cruise in Florida that we have here, where people basically go on this Gronk cruise and they just go get drunk as hell for a day. I know Waka Flocka Flame was on it one year, and he actually got kicked off for doing some inappropriate things. But yeah, no, Gronk's just this wild guy, and he's on this next wild tangent where he's just you guys gotta check out this video because it's absolutely hilarious just watching Gronk do this.
It was definitely really cool. And at first I was like, what is that? And then I read the caption, said a minigun. It's literally like he's working out. You can see him like struggling to hold the gun up.
Yeah, no.
And it's like,
yeah. And you know if Gronk is struggling to hold it up.
Yeah, it's gotta be pretty heavy for sure.
Yeah. So. But yeah, no, so great show. We gave you baseball. We promised baseball. We gave it to you. Next week, we have the conference finals for basketball. We have the conference finals for hockey. Man, I'm excited.
Will we have a different leader in the AL East after tonight?
Oh, get out of here, man. I doubt it.
Yanks Sox on as we speak at 7 o'clock. It is 7:33 p.m. on Wednesday. It's been one hell of a season so far for both teams, and I am so looking forward to the next 100-plus games to see where these two teams land, because I can see them on a crash course for the ALCS.
You're listening to BTH.